Hi, good evening, everyone. This is, I'm going to block that reflection. There we go. This is DIY with Beth. It is Wednesday night at 7 o'clock. And this time we're going to do something with some picture frames. So I know that a lot of you are like me with a handy little cell phone that we use constantly. And we are always taking pictures and thinking of all these things that we want to save. I want to picture that. I want to picture this. I want to picture that. And if you're like me, you just really don't have room for all those pictures in your house. I have mentioned before, I have a tiny house, but even if you don't, it's a lot of pictures. We have thousands of pictures on our phones. Okay, I do. Am I the only one? So if you're like me and you have lots of pictures, or would like to be able to change out your pictures occasionally, or just don't know how to display them or don't have the space, we're here to help tonight. So let me get rid of this phone. What I have is this picture frame. So my kiddos gave me this a couple years ago, last year I think it was, for Mother's Day. And I'm going to turn my camera down a little bit because the good stuff's going to be on the table. We don't want to look at me. Okay, so the kids bought this for me and my lovely little dogs. They clipped all these pictures on. You can see they clip on. I can change them out. I could do them thematically depending on what holiday or season or time of year, whatever I wanted to do. Super cute. It's really lightweight and it's a really, really thin wood. You can see the brackets for support. Got the little picture hanger on it, but instead of doing a wire, I wanted to do this ribbon. Now this ribbon might not show through on your screen so well, but it's a light gray. I tend to accent with gray, white, black. I've got some bolder colors in the house, but I live with gray, white, black. I also tend to dress in gray, white, black, so don't get stuck in that rut with me. I'm in pink tonight trying to unstuck myself. So I got to thinking maybe I could make these for myself, change them out for the season, for gifts, etc. So this one, although again the color might not come through exact, is a pale pearly gray. And I threw on some little whimsical attachments here, more clips. So you just clip your picture on. Let me grab a picture of my crazy son being crazy on the beach. And his equally crazy sister being crazy at a splash pad. And here we go. On the back, they have these nice little teeth. Woo, wrong side, everything's in reverse. They have these nice little teeth, so you can hang them right onto your wall. So I liked that one, but sometimes I don't want something quite so fussy or quite so girly, and you know I love myself some black paint. So this is black. I know it looks a little grayish. That's mainly because of the poly on it and the lighting here. We're right under the brightest light in my house, which is also where my faux studio is, in my dining area. I also have a thing for metallics lately, so I'm really digging these drawer pulls in the mixed metal. So we've got some black and this metallic color. And although I like things to coordinate, I don't love things that are too matchy-matchy, which is why I went with different stuff. This frame also has the teeth on the back, but a nice little addition, I think, is this piece of ribbon. And I would hang it by the teeth, but then have my little ribbon hanging on the wall. So it's just a decorative touch. You definitely don't have to put that on there if you don't want to. So the first thing I did was I found my piece of wood. So I tend to have scrap piece of wood sitting around because I'm always doing something. This is a 1x6. A 1x6 is never 1x6. It's about 3/4 of an inch and about 5.5 to 5 5/8-ish somewhere. They are not truly 1x6, but it doesn't matter for this purpose. We're not trying to build a house or anything. I'm just making a picture frame. So I'm going to show you how I have this nice sharp edge on all my corners, how I'm going to get rid of that, because my finished pieces, if you recall, did not have so sharp an edge. Can you see that? How it's a little worn down, shaved down. And we're going to drill some pilot holes and get things ready. So the first thing I want to do is determine which will be my front and my back side. I love things that are a little dinged up, and this has some dings in it, some scratches, some imperfections in the wood. Got a couple of nice knots in there that may or may not show through when I paint, depending on how many layers. But I also have a little chunk here. And although I don't hate that, I don't want to paint the side and have paint dripping down and have to deal with that. So this officially has become the back side. And I'm going to use this as the top of my frame. Now, as a rule of thumb, and there's no wrong way, I generally go down about an inch. So I would come down an inch on my board, and I would mark, and I mark on either side of the tape measure. And I come and do this in a couple different spots. Now, a true carpenter probably has a much better way of doing this, and will tell you all the reasons I'm wrong. I am not a true carpenter, and neither are you. So we're going to go with my way. So my way is I take my level, which is a straight edge as well, and I mark my line all down what will be the top of my board. Can you see my purple line? So now I know how far down I'm going to attach my teeth. Then I'm going to come over and I'm going to measure, a good 4 or so inches. And again, there's no right or wrong. Whatever you feel is best. I feel about 4 inches in gives the board this long enough support, and I'm going to have 2 of them. So I'm going to start on this end, and I go 4 inches. Now I'm going to take my teeth, and I'm going to line it right up on my line, right over that mark I just made. Make sure I'm hitting the line on the other side. And draw my circle. See, that's where my teeth are going to go. I'm going to repeat this process on this end. I'm going to come over 4 inches. I'm going to make my dot, lay my teeth down, make sure it lines up right on the line. Make my other dot. Next set. Now we've done the back. We know where we're going to hang our stuff. So I'm going to take my DeWalt drill and screw gun because I'm inherently lazy and I don't like to work any harder than I absolutely have to. And I'm going to have to put my tiniest drill bit for this. And this is why I love this, because that's just how quick it is to change the drill bit. This is a 1/16 drill bit. And I always have a board that I have drilled on so I don't drill through, or onto my table. When I'm outside in the garage and I have a workbench, I don't worry so much, but inside things just go better if I do this. I'm going to drill a very shallow pilot hole. I don't want to go very deep because I'm going to have to nail these in, and the nails are tiny and I don't want to go all the way through. I want that nail to have some purchase. So I'm going to go in just a little bit. And it's important when you're doing it, you don't stop like I did, because it'll come out easier. If not, you're going to have to reverse and pull that out. I've broken drill bits before. It's never a fantastic thing. So we've pre-drilled what will be the hangers. Now, this is the front of your board. This is the back. Here's the top. I'm going to deconstruct this one so I can show you how I actually affix those knobs on. And with a twist, this pops right off. And I just have to turn it the right way. Okay, there we go. Operator error. And I'm going to take this off. Oops, and I have it the wrong way. Yep, the front popped right off. Because I did it the wrong way initially, I'm a little worried I might end up stripping it. And these come apart in 2 pieces. So the screw actually fits through the wood, and this will screw onto the front. So I'm going to grab 2 more because we're going to make a fake picture frame there. won't be quite finished, but you will see how we assembled everything. There's the top. Okay, so I have my 3 knobs and I've drilled my pilot holes on the back. And now I'm going to look, and just by looking at it, I'm going to see about where do I want my knob. Do I want it halfway? Do I want it a little higher? This would be a little closer to halfway. I feel like I like it a little higher maybe. Let's go low. Let's go low. And because I eyeball everything, I'm going to make a mark here. And then I'm going to measure. Because my board is 28 inches, I know that for every 7 inches, I could place one of those knobs. Ooh, I could never do this again if I tried, but I actually hit it right on 14 inches. So I'm going to go 14 inches. I'm going to measure from the bottom. It's just 2 1/8. So I'm going to make it 2 inches from the bottom because I don't want to deal with the 1/8. And I'm going to mark my board again, side to side, in more than one spot. And I'm going to grab that level again so I have a straight edge. There we go. I think my hair's in the way. There we go. And I'm going to draw my line. So now I know where my pilot holes are going to go for the knobs. And this time I actually do want to drill right through the board. I'm going to use a slightly larger drill bit. It is a 1/8. The other was a 16th. This is 1/8. I'm going to go all the way through because the screws that I'll use will be slightly larger than the hole that I'll make. So again, it's going to grip through and kind of bite through that wood and be a nice solid attachment. So I forgot to measure 7, 14, and 21 though. So 14, can't believe I did it dead on. 7 and 21. And then this will hold 3 pictures when we're done, and they'll be evenly spaced. So, and again, make sure it's going forward. You'll feel it kind of break through the other side and start to go into the other piece of wood. I wish that there was a way I could actually like show you how that feels, but until you actually do it, there's just no way to know. So I always flip over and make sure, did I go through? I went through all 3 holes. So this is all set. Now I do have to say that although I use sandpaper a lot and I will finish up and try and make anything look nice, for these I'm not going to be super careful because again I like that roughened texture, so I'm just going to make sure there are no splinters. And I've got my fine grit paper because I'm just doing the face of it right now. I want to smooth these edges though and take that sharp corner off and round it a bit. I could use a sanding block and I would use a rougher one. This is an 80 grit. You can see it's pretty rough. And I could go at this thing and really work at it. And in about 15 or 20 minutes, I would have my desired effect. And I did that for a very long time. And that's totally fine. Except we don't have 15 or 20 minutes for you to watch me sand a board that I'm not even going to be able to finish and make look pretty because I'm going to switch. So I finally, after many projects, invested in one of these. This ran about $60, I think. You can get them at various price points. I wouldn't spend anything super crazy. I found 80 grit sandpaper. It's Velcro. How user-friendly is this? So it's going to be really loud for a minute, and I'm going to show you how. I'm going to sand all my edges, and I'm just making sure I do the front of my board. So I'm going to turn this on. Crazy loud, right? But as you can see, in a very short time, it has just smoothed that edge a little bit. Gotten rid of some of the rough stuff, because you compared that to this one, total difference. And it didn't take us long. So typically I would go through and I would do all of that. I would not do it in the same area that I plan to paint, because you never want dust and dirt anywhere near your paint or your finishes. But since this is a virtual program and done live, and also I can't switch scenes, they won't give me a bigger budget for a studio, we're gonna make do. At this point, I've sanded, I've done all of this. I'm gonna grab my damp cloth that I ran under the water and I squeezed out. It should not be wet to the touch. You don't want to saturate. You want to sprinkle a little and then let it absorb. You would wipe down your board. If you had a microfiber cloth, that would be even better. And then I would let this sit for about 20 minutes. And then I would decide to paint. Now I'm using chalk paint tonight, and I bought this Kills chalk paint in poppy seed. I'm sorry, yeah, toasted poppy seed. That's translation for black. It's a shade of black. There are many shades of black. This particular brand, this particular color looks like this after you've painted it. It looks a little gray, doesn't it? So I painted it. I let it dry 2 hours. I took that fine grit sandpaper, and you would very lightly, and you can see the area that I have sanded and what I have not yet, but it'll all look like this when I'm done. And then I will take that same cloth, I will wipe all the dust off. I would paint it again if I wanted a second coat, if I was really worried about coverage, or if I felt I didn't get it on clear. Just depends on what it is. But I didn't this time. I just put poly on it. See how it's got a little shine? I know the lighting's hard for you to tell, but this is poly and this is not. So you see the difference, the dull and the shinier. And I use just a matte poly. I don't like to use anything too shiny, and it's a water-based, so it cleans up really well. So that's how I got there. But to show you, and I'll let you know that I shook this really well and stirred it for quite a long time before we started, so that I wouldn't have to do that here and then take up a bunch of time. So it's really important, even with chalk paint, or especially with chalk paint, that you do make sure it's mixed. And because I'm going right back to this and I'm going to clean my brush after, I just wrapped it in a little length of paper towel that, again, I whoop under my sink, wring out all the extra, wrap it up. It's basically very, very dry, just slightly damp. And this will keep your brush in good order. And when I put the chalk paint on, I don't have a magic technique. Are you ready? I start in the middle and work my way to the edge, and I am not afraid of paint. Paint is my friend. Middle, work to the edge. See how it's thinning and dragging a little there? Do you see those spots that are not covering? So we're going to take a little more. Get it clear, or get it covered, not clear. And then we're going to set this guy aside and let him dry. And of course, the day's not complete unless I'm covered in chalk paint. That's how I roll. So I'm going to wrap this up so I can wash this off later. And once my paint is all dry, coming back to our little piece so you can see just how easy it is to do poly as well. I would grab my matte poly pop this open. Now this you never shake. I stirred it with a paint stirrer. If you shake it, it promotes bubbles. Bubbles mean a bad finish. Never shake it, okay? No shaking. So then I would take my sponge brush, because I like to use these when I'm doing poly, especially on a flat surface. If I had something with lots of detail, I kind of bounce back between different types of brushes. But because this is a flat surface and very easy to do, I'm going to load my brush. And again, I like to start at the middle and I brush out. And then do you see how I have a couple little spots here that aren't covering? Let's see if I can show you, like right here in the middle. Like that's all wet, and then there's a little dry spot. So I'm going to load my brush again, and I'm going to overlap. So I'm going to come from over here, and I'm going to come across. I'm turning my block as I go, and then I do one nice sweep so I get both ends, and I'm going to come and do my edges. You don't want to continue to put on, because poly looks streaky when you put it on, and the more you mess with it, the more you're messing with your finish. And you don't want to do that. You want to keep everything as smooth and clean as you can. So we would set this aside and let it dry. 2 hours for each. Paint is 2 hours, poly is 2 hours, lightly sand, wipe down, reapply as needed. Full disclosure, I did 1 coat for each thing. And then I did picture frames. So I bought these at Michael's. They were $1 something a piece, very inexpensive. I did the same thing. Lightly sanded to make sure there were no rough edges, because some of the inside edges were rough. 1 coat of black chalk paint, sand, 1 coat of clear poly, let it sit, and it's good to go. So now we've got our board, and in theory, we've painted it, and it's ready, and it's all good. And now we're going to put on those little teeth that I've been talking about. And they come with these tiny, tiny, tiny little nails, which are truthfully kind of the bane of my existence. I really hate them, and I am always a fan of using a small screw if I can. So I'm going to go where that hole was pre-drilled and see how my nail popped right down in it, and it's still sticking up. See it right there? And I'm just going to tap it in with my hammer. And I'm going to grab another one. Same story on the other side. It should just fit in that hole, and just a little bit. See how it doesn't slide all the way in? And then we're going to throw this one on there. And that's what's really nice about a hammer like this when you have those tiny little nails. That tiny little rounded nail or head on the hammer works wonders. Okay, and that's in. So we've got the teeth on the back, and now we want to put our knobs on the front. So I am going to use this towel because at some point I'm going to have to brace maybe against this board. So I'm going to start with my board standing up so you can see, and I'm going to put my screw right on the top of this hole. Can you see that? And then I'm going to start to screw it in. Now, I have to be careful. Do not hit the table. Nobody's happy when you go through. Oh, I hit the table. But it's a flat screw, so it's okay. Can you see it starting to poke out? I want it to poke out just a little bit. And then I'm going to try and screw this on there, and it's not poked through enough yet for me to screw it on. So, do you see how I did that with my little monkey fingers? I got that knob on there. Then I'm going to turn around and do the same in the middle. This is where I should brace this. And I'm going to use that board I keep talking about that I use all the time. And I'm going to put that under there. Ooh. Ooh, and I'm gonna try and go right through the hole. The hard way. This one does not want to go. There. Remember when we talked about getting a bite of that wood? Let's see how this goes if I just push it all the way through, because those buggers are giving me a little fit today. Can you see this? My hands are in the way, aren't they? So the screw popped out, and it's in the wood tight enough that I can just twist that on, and now it's on. See if I can find that other screw head on here. I have so much stuff on my table, just like my desk at work. So much stuff, so little time. Hit the wood. Now I'm going to push it through. Oh, I hate that noise, don't you? And I know this probably seems a little hard. Typically I'm, in the garage at a workbench, but the fact that I can do this live for an audience on a random night, no problem, right? So this would be your board. Then I think I want to attach that sweet little piece of ribbon, and I didn't tell you guys how I did that the first time, so let me show you on this. I'm going to lay my towel because I don't want to damage my knobs, and I'm going to lay those like this. Now for me, the ribbon is just a decoration. Remember, we're not actually hanging it from the ribbon. We're going to hang it from here. I'm going to tack a little nail up on the wall. This guy's going to come like so and attach to either edge. So I'm going to start here. Now, full disclosure, I'm using a nail gun because it's fast. I'm not a nail gun. I'm using a stapler because it's fast, kind of loud, but also I don't burn myself, and time is of the essence here. If I was just here at home without a crowd and I had plenty of time and I didn't have to worry about anything, I'm just as likely to use my glue gun. Because again, this is decoration. It doesn't have to hold it. A glue gun might not hold it if the weight of the frame was on there, but that's not what we're doing here. So I'm going to lay this down and I'm going to staple each edge and in the middle. Figure out how long I want my piece to go. And I do like to use a ribbon that has a wire in it because then I can bend it and display it however I want it to look. But that is not a deal breaker because the one on the picture frame the kiddos got me doesn't have a wire. And I think I hot glued that one and it worked just fine. So I've showed you how to construct. These are not going to come out quietly. I would really like you to be able to see my, there we go. My nice, pretty color coordinated one with a nice paint job. So I'm going to put this black one together. Ooh. This is a noisy DIY segment after that nice and calm yoga we had. I'm not feeling calm and yoga-like anymore, are you? So let's put these back in. Isn't that nice horrible noise? I know I keep saying that, but really? See how easy that is? And last but not least, the last one. Now, yes, we said this is a great picture frame holder, and it really is. I'm going to tilt this back up. And it really is. I mean, it's fabulous, right? I had the wood from another project. I hung it on the wall. I've painted it. I've primed it. I've gotten it hung up on the wall. And now I'm going to add my kiddos' little pictures. Because, of course, you know, if I'm bedazzling or ribboning or whatever I'm doing to the frame, why wouldn't I do it to the picture frames too? So then I can have my kiddos. Of course, my gold ribbon would be hanging on the wall like so. My lovely little kitties under there. I think they're lovely. And I know we called it a picture frame, but let's just be honest. Sometimes you have other little knickknacks or keepsakes that you can't do without. This old costume jewelry necklace was my Graham's. My girlfriend got me some flowers after a medical procedure a few years ago, and these sweet little hearts came on it, and I just love them. So yes, it's a DIY. It's a hanger. You can put lots of lovely pictures on it. You can put keepsakes on it. You can change the knobs out if you're that fancy and you want to do stuff seasonally. Not me, I'm kind of lazy. I switch my pictures out, but there are lots of options. So think about the stuff in your home, the stuff you like, the stuff you love, the things you'd like to be able to display, and then figure out just a way to be able to do that. So that's our program for tonight. Yeah, I don't know. That's what I've got. That's what we did. And I'm hoping that you'll tune in next month. Next month is kind of a departure for me. Honestly, it's not something I normally get into. I don't do the whole charcuterie boards. I have beautiful glass platters that have been handed down to me from my Graham and then I've purchased at estate sales and things over the years. So the charcuterie board is totally lost on me, but it's huge, right? And people have told me that it's huge and that they love it. So I thought if everyone wants to, we would make one of those next month. So I hope you guys have had a great night and I hope you have an even better tomorrow. And thank you so much for watching and hanging out with me tonight. You guys take care and have a great one.